Hey guys, dredfunn here. Another one of those collaboration videos with Mr. Bob Gymlan. This one is titled It Came Into the Tent. Now, it's a series of 16 illustrations. So I'm going to bring them all out. They're a variety of different sizes. Oh, jeez. Just knocked my table over. Great job, dredfunn. Anyways, there are a variety of different sizes. Reason being is sometimes I don't need to go with a page this big to detail the entire thing of what it is that I'm trying to illustrate, or what it is that Bob has asked me to illustrate. So this is the start of It Came Into a Tent, and illustration 1 is kind of setting up the scene. Bob wanted to have it depicted, you got your little mobile home. There's a couple just, getting ready to have a nice day of camping. Young boy hanging out. He's pretty proud about banging out his new tent. I'll zoom it in a bit for you and I'll bang it around. And, we got some camping stuff. Basically, when setting the scene, excuse me if I cough, I'm getting over a cold. But anyways, when setting the scene, I try to, because I'm using just gray tones, I want to, get everything in there and not clutter it, and try to show as much emotion as I can. As you can see, a lot of these characters are pretty small in these images, because again, it's setting the scene. You got to have the RV, you got to have the kid, and in order to have it look somewhat realistic, and in order for Bob to be able to pan around, having it this size kind of helps. So illustration number 2, I'm actually going to pull these off because they're all different sizes, and then I'll just move them off. Illustration number 2 is, make sure we got illustration 2, is the little boy later on. He's kind of in a tent and sort of hears something. He's distraught, and the way Bob wanted to have it depicted is, pretty much just, boy in the tent looking nervous. I kept in mind lighting. I wanted to show it dark, but not really dark. One of the things I would go back and maybe do is I might make the ground a little darker. And then see right here where this is light, have that underside of the sleeping bag to contrast. But other than that, it's nice. It's got some gray tones, sets the scene, and even though it's supposed to be a dark image, it comes across really nice. Image number 3, you can see right here, and this one was a weird one because when Bob had written it down, the way this encounter was described, the child recalls, or whoever the witness was as a child recalls, the creature or whatever it was didn't open the tent, literally just stuck his finger in and ripped it up. So again, when I did this one, I was thinking, you know what, maybe I'll cut it in half and show the kid nervous, or I'll just have this other scene that shows him nervous and then just show this close up. But again, for these YouTube videos, I think it's important that it helps to give Bob more than one image to work with. He can pick and choose and set up his video in a way that suits him. Okay, and we move on to image number 4. And this is sort of a view of the kid looking out of the rip in the tent and seeing what clearly are 2 bipedal legs of some sort of hominid or creature. Now, in reality, this tent rip would be a lot smaller, but to kind of show that the creature's not standing up, but kind of leaning forward almost, maybe about ready to look in, or having his arms not seen off to the side, just to show it the way that he had seen it. Now, image number 5 is a big one. I'll pan it out a little bit. But we got the creature sort of hovering in and over top of the boy. What I wanted to really focus on was making this dark. You can see it got a lot of dark above, a lot of dark of the creature contrasting to the lighter gray tones of the little boy. And I was keen to keep the eye whites open. It adds an element of shock, which is what I was going for, because his vision is somewhat obscured the way it's described. He's not actually able to see this blanket or pillow part of the sleeping bag is actually over his head. And in the dark situation, you know, it's not going to be very clear, but for the sake of the video, and I believe Bob actually used this image in right here for the thumbnail, it really it delivers a punch. You can see the mass of the creature that's over top of this little child. So then we move on to illustration number 6, which is kind of cool. I had a lot of fun with this one. I actually got to use my own hand as a model. Ooh, look at that! But yeah. The child is reacting as the creature is sort of breathing on him, and you know, nudging around, kinda, is what I got from the written text and what it is that Bob kind of wanted to go with. We then pop up to image number 7, and this shows the creature loping away, or lopping away, or running away, whatever you want to call it. But either way, it was described by the witness as running on all fours, somewhat like a chimp or an ape would. Now, I believe it or not, this image looks simple, but I did take into consideration a lot with the actual physical dimensions of the creature. These type of Bigfoot sightings obviously show a larger type of arm, longer arm I mean, and in comparison to humans, and a leg that kind of has a different bend in it, bending in a different way, so almost like the thigh is longer and then the forearm is longer. That'll really dramatically change someone lopping off or running off, so he's going to be, again, much more upright, much more back arched. So yeah, and again, it's the scene, it's dark, running off, there's going to be that light casting down from the RV. Now, illustration number 8 gets into, I guess what it is that the dad thought he saw. They had a big Mastiff type dog, and he thinks that the dog was what was nudging him with his wet nose. And those creatures can be big, and in a tired state, I'm sure that could be something that had happened. But I don't know. For the video's sake, this depicts it clearly. It's in the similar position to the creature, and could be a plausible explanation for what it is the child or the witness saw. Either way, it helps tell the story and push it along for Bob. We then bang out to illustration number 9, a personal favorite, Art Bell. I've watched a lot of, or listened to a lot of Art Bell radio shows, Coast to Coast, all that stuff. Is a huge history, and I wanted to find the classic image. Bob wanted a sort of like a halo of light behind him. And then I added the cigarette in there from the image that I'd seen. He did have the cigarette, and just sort of adds a nice flair. Doing these realistic pencil or realistic ink images where I'm using an actual image off to the side, they're tricky because I'm trying to combine comic book sort of illustration with basically realism. So I'm cognizant of hatching and where I'm going to use these gray tones and black tones to really, you know, make the image look good, and then add this nice little frilly fringe around here, which is accomplished simply by adding water and then adding a mixture of water and ink to it. There's a chemical reaction, and if you can get it right, it can really look great. And then we bang off into illustration number 10. Now this shows, I guess it is the child grown up somewhat, and how the dad sort of razzes him over the years. Every time they see a dog, and this is depicting them driving off, Dad's like, whoa, whoa, settle down, buddy. Don't want you flipping out, eh? Like the last time I saw that Mastiff, basically busting his balls. And then I got another image that depicts that. Bob wanted to show them a little older, and also to show, you know, them sitting around watching TV, and you can clearly tell the dad is razzing him, and the older grown-up son is not impressed. And there's a big bull mastiff type dog depicted on the television. Then we bang out to illustration 12, which is just a baby in a cradle, and I believe there's another image that goes with it, but it's not here for some reason. Yeah, I'll have to find it. But anyways, it also shows the cradle empty without the baby. The significance, I won't give it away. You'll have to check it out in Bob's video. And then we got illustration number 14, which was a lot of fun to do because I can remember watching stuff on Coco. And this is depicts Coco, the sign language gorilla, with her pet kitten. And one of my favorite stories of Coco is a stand-up routine that Bill Burr does. And just check it out. It's hilarious. But yeah, so I wanted to be able to, you know, Bob wanted to show, I guess, the playful nature of a gorilla and their gentleness, and nothing depicts that better than Coco and her kitten. And then as a contrast, we've got image 15, which shows a chimpanzee eating another kind of like a colobus monkey or smaller monkey. Bob was very clear. He didn't want it very gory, very graphic. I agree. It doesn't need to be. I mean, this in itself it's part of nature, but it's not a part of nature that you always have to depict. It doesn't necessarily fit the story all the time. And I really wanted to have a dark, ominous. I was going to darken this entire little monkey here and just have little highlights, but I decided to do the creature in gray and just have it very clear and distinct. And then we've got an image here of someone sitting at a desk writing away, and I believe Bob used that, and that was image 16, to sort of convey some stuff in the video. So that was all the images that went with he came into the tent, or it came into the tent. And I hope you guys liked this video. I know you really enjoyed the last one I uploaded about, I believe it's the Dennis Martin or the Ape Canyon one. So yeah, I'll try to get these ones out when I can. I've been pretty busy. So don't forget to like, subscribe, pass it along. Dredfunn out.